Welcome back to the Charlie Cook Cricket Podcast. Now, we've had two pretty good games of cricket today in the IPL. Sunrisers take on Delhi, and then we had Rajasthan versus CSK in the later one. In terms of betting odds, two upsets that we've had today, and the two pretty good games of cricket in terms of closeness, I guess. I'm joined with Sank today. Sank, you are a Sunrisers fan. Second loss in a row. How are we feeling?
It's all doom and gloom. After that first game, 286 on the board, I thought this is going to be an easy season. Flat tracks at home, Vishakhapatnam today, small ground. It's going to be high scoring, but no, this must be how England fans feel watching baseball because it's just one way that SRH play and that's it. It doesn't matter if they're 30 for no loss after 2 overs or 30 for four after 4 overs, they are just going to keep hitting it regardless of what. And it's just, yeah, it's frustrating. It's hard to watch when they're losing, but when they're on song, it's lovely, isn't it? But yeah,
You've
it
you've
feels all
just
gloom at the moment.
You have just described being an England fan during baseball. That's it. You've done it perfectly.
Yeah.
Why do they do it when they're 30 for four, but when it comes off, it looks incredible? And that is baseball down to a T. So welcome to the club. You're in for however long this lasts. That time is going to be miserable or great, and there is nothing in between.
It just summed it up like, there's a silly run out at the start where a yes, no, maybe, oh no, I'm out. Ishan Kishan hit straight down to third's throat. And then 2 balls later, you see Nitish Kumar just playing the most ungainly hike across and scoop it straight up to mid-on. You think, what are they doing? What? There's no rush here. They're already ahead of the scoring rate. Why not just give yourself a couple more balls? But nope, that isn't the mantra at the moment. It's just hit, hit, hit. Everything goes out the park.
I mean, they were always going at like 9, 10 and over. No matter how many wickets fell, they were always going quickly. I mean, that was probably helpful because Aniket Verma put on a really good performance today and scored 74 or 41. But the run rate was always there. They just kept losing wickets. If they bat out the 8 balls that they miss and they score 20 off of that and they've got 183,
Mm.
this could be a slightly different game. I mean, I know Delhi kind of walk it in the end, but 183 instead of 163 it's a completely different game, isn't it? Cricket doesn't work. You don't chase 183 how you chase 163.
No,
Uh,
no. They almost need like a Pujara in the middle. It's just everyone else bats around him, whereas he just takes the singles and just has a calm presence in the middle. That's what you need because at the moment it's chaos. The batting lineup I don't have an issue with. They've got the good players at the top. They've got the attacking intent and so on. It's just their approach I have a problem with. I mean, there are a lot of other sides, and I'm sure we'll talk about Rajasthan at the second half of the show. But you kind of look at their batting order, you think that needs a bit of a tweak. It's not quite clicking at the moment. So they tweaked it. Whereas SRH, you think I wouldn't change anything in this batting order. Just maybe give yourself a couple of balls. You've got enough firepower to make up the run rate even if you see off 5, 10 balls at the start of your innings.
yeah, and I thought that would be the role that Nitesh Kumar already played. But again, it's like they walk into Sunrisers and it's all of a sudden they've got this mindset of they must go out and hit the ball as hard as they can because we're the team that scores is going to score 300. I thought Stark bowled okay, a couple of wickets gifted to him, but he seems to be the Sunrisers' nemesis. He obviously did him in the final last year. Takes five. Can you believe that it's his first 5 wicket haul in T20 cricket?
Yeah, but to be fair, he didn't really play that much T20 cricket because there was a lot of years where he just bypassed the IPL to stay in that Test team.
Hmm.
So yeah, I can sort of believe that, but eh, now he looks like a bargain for Delhi, compared to what KKR paid for him last year.
Hmm.
It's absolute steal because he's getting those wickets in power play again. They gave him the third over, thinking, yeah, he's bowling well, and he got Travis Head, and that was pretty much it for as far as the game went. The attacking intent almost just got killed at that point by Mitchell Stark.
Yeah, I mean Stark's T20 record. He has literally only played T20Is or IPL. That's kind of and didn't play IPL for quite a long time. The stat that always amazes me is that the Big Bash, which is obviously his home competition, Brett Lee has played a Big Bash game more recently than Mitch Stark has. Brett Lee
But fair
retired
play
from
to him.
cricket
I mean,
in 2024.
yeah, he's made so
Literally.
much money still by only
Mm,
just playing one competition, and even in that, he's only played what 3 or 4 years at most. So yeah, fair play to him, and he's holding every single trophy known in the men's sport. He's got the Test Championship, he's got the T20 World Cup, he's got the ODI World Cup, the number one Test side. He's got so many countless Ashes victories. So he's playing it in the right way. And last year he got the IPL trophy as well.
that's probably enough praise in Australian. So Kuldeep Yadav bowled really well today as well, at 3 for 22. He's just kind of wily old character now, isn't he? He just kind of knows how to do it. And I don't think anyone really knows how to play against left arm wrist spin. It's
Yeah.
just something that you don't face at a high level enough. You
Mm.
can find some net bowlers that do it, but they're not going to be on Kuldeep Yadav. That difference to even right arm wrist spin and a net bowler that can do it, and left arm wrist spin and a net bowler that can do it, is going to be so different. So if you're not, which is why we're seeing Kuldeep Yadav take wickets today. Noor Ahmed has had a great start to the competition. It's just not something that even the world class players play against very often.
Yeah. If you're a left arm bowler and you're under 6 foot, learn to bowl wrist spin because you are going to be making a lot of money when you're older. So it's the commodity. It's such a rare commodity to be able to. Firstly, it's a different angle, so they're not used to it. Then it's confusing for batters because they look at it, they think, okay, this is going to turn away from me. No, hang on, it's coming into me. It's back of the hand. It's the quicker one. It's just so difficult for batters to read. And because they don't see it in domestic cricket, the first time they see it is in these pressure situations in IPLs or World Cups. That they always tend to buckle under it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I thought he played really well today. He's always a really good pick for um, the IPL. In terms of the Delhi batting, Jake Fraser McGurk used his brain today, and I didn't think that he had one. Really sensible innings from him. While Faf at the other end, I think he becomes the third overseas player to score 50 above the age of 40. Um, it's always my favourite when you really drill down to the very niche stat to find someone that's the third person to score a 50 28 days away from his birthday on a Thursday. They're always my favourite stats, and that Faf one feels a little bit like that. But he just went, and Fraser McGurk just kind of stayed at the other end and kept his wicket, and it's not something we've seen him do. I did see Kevin Peterson speaking to him and giving him some words of knowledge, and thought, I wish that was Harry Brook and not Fraser
Mm.
McGurk.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, and wish it was someone else apart from KP giving the advice out as well. But
Well,
um, yeah, you almost felt like if Sunrise had taken a couple of quick wickets at the start of the Delhi innings, they would have been right in that game. But yeah, bit of level-headedness really killed the game there in the chase.
yeah, no, I agree. Um, Faf was quick. Perel was quick. KL Rahul looked like the baby was still crying at home and he needed to get back. 15
Yeah,
off
to get
5.
bowled around your legs is a it's
He
very
did.
village.
What did he go? He went. It was 6-4-4 single bowled around the legs.
Yeah,
That was some going,
job
and
done. Yeah.
Stubbs sees them home. Zishan Ansari for Sunrisers. I haven't actually seen him before. Looks like a decent leg spinner. A bit of a what's a traditional leg spinner. It didn't look as kind of quick and kind of the real quick pace that you usually see in like a Rashid Khan or someone like
Mm.
that. It was a little bit more orthodox. I was saying that it wasn't one of his heroes, Shane Warne or something, cracking up. But I guess if
Yeah.
you're a leg spinner, you have to pick Warne at some point. But I thought he bowled really well. I thought he was the highlight of the Sunrisers bowling effort anyway.
Yeah, and they are missing that, power play bowler who's going to get a couple of wickets. Every team seems to have one now, which is unusual. Like Mitchell Stark does for Delhi. Last year they used to have Marco Janssen doing that job, but they didn't decide to get him back. And Shami, great bowler, but coming back from that major injury, he's still finding his way in T20. He was good in the Champions Trophy, but yeah, still needs a few more matches under his legs before he can get back to his form. You're definitely missing a good power play bowler.
I mean, when do you start to worry about Pat Cummins and Shammy? Pat Cummins more than Shammy. I mean, Cummins seems to have gone for runs in every single game that he's played so far. 13 and a half he goes for an over today. I think it was similar in the last game. I think it was 15 or 16 in the first. Now, that was a game with 520 runs in it, so let's not look too far into that one. But if he's not going to perform as your captain, you have to pick him. But if he's not offering you anything with a bat and not offering anything with the ball, and the grand plans of going out and trying to whack it, whether that's Pat Cummins' idea or if that's someone else's, doesn't seem to be necessarily paying off as well as it did last year.
And he's almost hiding himself in the bowling. He doesn't tend to open, which I feel is his best chance of getting wickets because he does have that little bit of movement and high pace, which would trouble batters. Um, so he's hiding himself. He's bowling like he bowled Abhishek Sharma as an opener in the second game. He bowled was it Samarjeet in that first game, and it was just he's coming in when the ball is old, there's no movement, and because he's just that back of a length bowler, batters know what to do. They just sit back, wait for it, and hit across the line. So I would like to see him open the bowling next match with Shami. Whatever movement there is at the start of the innings, extract it, and you'll see from different Pat Cummins, a couple of wickets under his belt, and suddenly the confidence is back, and he'll lead a lot better.
Yeah, I think those bowlers that don't have much variation need to bowl early because the only way they're going to be effective is by movement. I mean, and there doesn't seem to be any the further you go on in the innings. So, like we saw with Jofra Archer that we'll get into today, him taking the new ball and extracting that movement at 90 mile an hour is difficult to deal with, and that's probably where Cummins is going to be best suited. I get why they did it today for matchups and stuff like that, but how long can we look at matchups? You've got Pat Cummins, who arguably is the second best bowler in the world. Um, let's give him the new ball when he's going to be most effective, and not think of let's get the ball turning away in the power play. And this bloke didn't deal with just all your best bowlers at the time that it's going to be perfect for them. In terms of the points table, Delhi Capitals go up to second. They are just below RCB on net run rate. They've played to 1-2, and Sunrisers Hyderabad sitting down in eighth. Couple of bad net run rate losses as well. They've won one, lost two. If we go on to the next game, Rajasthan Royals versus Chennai Super Kings, I thought this was going to be an absolute hammering by Chennai. But somehow Rajasthan actually pull one out the bag.
Yeah.
Nitesh Rana with 81 of 36. There wasn't much else in this innings, but that was pretty sensational for him to get up to 182, which looked like a good score.
Yeah, and we talked about last podcast where Rian Parag, we said he's not a number three, he's not a natural player
Mm.
there, and they tweaked it a little bit. And Nitish Rana came in and he just went berserk from ball one, and it was really really good innings. He picked the bad balls, and that's what they need. Jaiswal at the moment is a little bit out of form. I know it's harsh to say after just a handful of games, but he doesn't look like he's quite hit the ground running yet. So they don't have Joss Butler like they did to offset Jaiswal. So they do need someone in that top three to be firing, and putting Nitish Rana up there is definitely a good move.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Jaiswal being out of form, I know the kind of joke is that the IPL goes on forever and it's 19 months long out of the year. And he's only 14 games, though. So if someone is out of form for the first 5 games, that's nearly half of the games that you're going to play. If you lose the first 4 or 5 games because you've got someone, your best player, out of form, you're going to have to win 8 games to make the playoffs. You've then got to win 8 from 9. It's not the way that you need to be. Okay, you might be able to pick up the occasional one like they have today, but Jaiswal is arguably their best batsman. between him and Samson. I know Samson makes it into the side. Um, over Jaisal, probably strike rate stuff and things like
Yeah.
that they tried to do with that Indian T20 team. But Jaisal could be the best player in the world in 2-3 years' time. He's that good. And I'd start to worry that he's been out of form because I think that, as you said, without Butler, they are massively relying on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair to him, he hasn't played any meaningful cricket since the Border Gavaskar Trophy
No,
that finished in January. So he does look like he's still finding his feet. But you're right, it's such a quick season in terms of 14 games and already three down, and he hasn't made a meaningful contribution. Another couple of games, do you look at a change? Is there anyone who could fill his shoes at the top of the order? Are you concerned that Jaiswal's form is going to continue in this way?
I think he probably would be. I mean, as a Rajasthan Royals fan, it worries me when he walks out to bat at the start of the
Yeah.
innings because I think he's going to end up with 4 off 3 like he did today.
Mm,
It doesn't look that fluid. Hope it sorts itself out. I'm sure it will. A player of his class should be able to sort it out. One other issue that I think they've got with that batting lineup is that they need to move Hetmeyer up to 6, at
mm.
least 6. I think he's batting far too low at 7. He's just wasted. I think they got him because they think that he's a big power hitter, and I think he can do, but he needs to get in first. He's not a player that can go from ball one. He does need to play himself in a little bit. So him coming in at 6 and put Hasaranga to 7 seems like the way that I'd go with it. Otherwise, you just wasted him.
Yeah, yeah, it's a small move, but you're right. A player who's not bowling, batting seven or below is pointless.
Mm.
You don't need a batter that low in the order. You haven't got your lineup correct in that case. So yeah, put Hetmeyer up, Hasaranga down. Hasaranga will give you 4 overs every game, and he was really really good today. I thought it's his. I know batting wise, they expect him just to go out and have a swing, but bowling wise, he's a very, very good T20 bowler, and I'm glad they've brought him into the lineup after that first game.
Yeah, I still don't know why he wasn't in the side from the first game as literally your only all rounder. Felt like that he had to play. In terms of the Rajasthan innings, I mean, CSK after the power play played really well. Um, their death bowling was sensational. Again, it's a little bit like we talked about CSK before. Of it was just strangling them with spin in the middle overs. Jadeja goes for 5 and over. Noor Ahmed goes for 7 over. Uh, and then you've got Ashwin was a bit expensive, but he still picks up 1. There was good bowling in there from CSK and did well to keep them to 182 because after the power play, they should have been looking at 200, 220.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought they did well there, but it was just a bit of a nothing with the bat. This CSK, the more I see this CSK team with the bat, just the less confidence I have in it every single time. I just don't know where the quick runs are coming from. It's like, okay, great, they bat down to like number 9. Dhoni was coming in at 9, but I don't trust Dhoni to go out and be Dhoni from 10 years ago anymore and score 30 off 8 and win a game for you. I don't trust that. It's not going to happen. More likely you're going to get 16 off 11 like you did today and you hit a 6 or a 4 and the rest of it's going to be pretty crap. And then Jadeja's not a big hitter. Jamie Overton was coming in today and you needed him to hit 3 6s. It's fine batting deep, but if you still need your top 6 to do the job, then it's a waste of time batting down to 9. You might as well pick proper bowlers.
Yeah, and that Dhoni thing is the same argument as Hetmeyer. Why are you batting a keeper that low? It's if you don't think he's going to survive more than 10 balls, send him up top.
Mm.
If he goes open or one down and he swings at 10 balls and maybe pays off, you get 20 off 10, or if you're really good, 30 off 10, and that's it. His job is done. But coming in that low, he's not the player he was. He's going to struggle. He hasn't played any other cricket. We talk about Jaiswal not playing cricket since January. Dhoni hasn't played since last May. So it's a vast difference coming in from having a net to in the middle of an IPL game. It's a lot more pressure. So yeah, I think he's batting too low. 6, maybe at a push 7, but no lower than that. Personally, a lot of it hinges on Gaikwad. He's their main batter in the middle, and last couple of times he's gone out there, he gets to 50 and he just throws it away. Whereas you'd think someone of his experience should be able to see that game through to the end. Just finish it off, even if you're not hitting the big sixes. To rotate the strike so the other players can have a go. But he's just getting in there and then giving it away at a crucial moment.
Yeah, I mean, he was out second to last ball of the 16th over, 129 for 5. That made him when he got out. And that equation looked doable with Gaikwad at the crease set. All of a sudden, you've got Dhoni and Jadeja at the crease, and you're thinking 4 overs is a long time, and there's a lot of runs to get. Suddenly, don't feel confidence because Jadeja is just a pusher. He pushes the ball around.
Yeah.
Okay, he hit a couple of boundaries today, but that's what Jadeja does. He's not a big hitter. He's going to score you ones and he's going to get you twos because he's quick. Doesn't necessarily help that he's batting with a bloke that's 79 or whatever Dhoni is now. So that would just worry me. Okay, 32 off 22 looks good, but in the grand scheme of things, it had to be 32 off 10.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's not him. He'll never be that player. He is even 30 off 22 or whatever it was is pushing him to his limits because he's more of a 30 off 28. That's his style of play. You know, you need a hitter next to him so he can rotate the strike and get someone who's more powerful, but not Dhoni at the current age or current form. And this is why Gaikwad was very important for CSK's chances today.
I thought the drop in Sam Curran for Jamie Overton was a really interesting choice that they went for. I just don't think I would have done it yet. I talked about it in the last podcast I did of well, they could bring Overton in for Sam Curran if Sam Curran keeps struggling. I expected that to be around games 9 or 10 when Sam Curran hadn't done anything in that time. I didn't expect it to be now. I don't know if they thought that they wanted a bit more pace and they wanted to go that way, but he didn't bowl very well. And realistically, I don't want to knock him for the bat because he did hit a 6 and made the game be alive for an extra delivery. But I just thought they could have done with Sam Curran in that middle order, a little bit more experience, can bat anywhere between kind of 4 and 7. That would have made a bit more sense than having Jamie Overton today.
And a different angle with the bowling as well. You know, that always helps. But yeah, I think the thinking is a little bit muddled. They want to stick to those spinners. That's their main aim. That's where the strength is, having those 3 spinners in the middle. And either side of it, they feel they can throw anyone out in the 11 and still strangle teams. And it almost works. I mean, today it went from 220 to 180 as a result of those spinners. And with a little bit more composed batting display, they get there quite easily. But yeah, you're relying a lot on your batters doing the job because you know your spinners are going to not let more than 180 every game.
Yeah, I mean, CSK win this game if Jofra Archer doesn't bowl the best that he's bowled probably since his injury. I mean, that those first 2 overs were the best I've seen him in years now.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 1 for 1 after his first 2 overs, and he's opening the bowl. It's just ridiculous. His first over was a maiden wicket, and this was after that I called him that I never want him to play for England again. And he's washed and he's completely useless at cricket, and he shouldn't be anywhere near an IPL or an England team. I said that in the last podcast that we did. I would like to take that back. And Jofra, we miss you dearly, and cannot wait to see you back in an England shirt.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good today.
It showed in the celebration as well when he got the first wicket. He was, fully pumped. You saw the almost like the relief leave his body. He was just so tense after the first couple of games. Were you surprised that he didn't bowl the last over after the start he gave the team?
Yes and no. I thought that the more pace you put on the ball, the further it goes, and they needed 6s at that point. And I think one of the biggest problems that he's had is that his slower ball just isn't as good as it has been. It's really interesting because I was listening to a Talksport podcast they were doing on Jofra the other day, and Jared Kimber said, well, the elbow issue that he's had is that he can no longer get that hyperextension in his elbow, which doesn't give him that snap like a Boomer has or something like that.
Mm.
And also, his best slower ball before was the off cutter, which needs that elbow to twist, which is
Mm.
something that he now loses as well. The two people that get elbow injuries are off spinners and fast bowlers, and the fact that he's had that injury causes him that his slower ball is now not as good because he doesn't get the revolutions that he did before on it, and he hasn't got that necessary snapper pace. Felt like he had that back a little bit today. I just felt like he was more in rhythm than I've seen him in a long time. But I understand why they didn't bowl him in the last over. I mean, they needed, what was it, 20 off the last over? I just
Mm.
couldn't see it happening anyway.
Yeah, I think if the last ball of the penultimate over hadn't gone for a six, Jofra would have bowled the last over.
Hmm.
I think 26 or 25 to get off the last over is a different proposition compared to 20 off the last over. So I think they probably would have bowled Jofra. But I know in the end you could just point to say, yeah, it doesn't matter now who they bowled because they ended up winning. But it was a lot closer than it needed to be. I mean, 6 runs is not a huge margin in T20 games, and they managed to drag it. CSK managed to did drag it in that over, and it was only until the last 2 balls that the result was confirmed.
Yeah, and also I think it's more a bit of a confidence thing of Joffrey's gone 1 for 13, bowled great, hasn't gone for any runs.
Mm.
Is there a point of bowling him and saying, okay, the last thing that you got to take away from this game is they need 26 to win and you've gone for 19, and all of a sudden your figures now look 1 for 32,
Mm.
and it looks like a pretty standard bowling innings from there. Whereas you look at 1 for 13, 3 overs, one maiden, that looks really good in a C20. So maybe it was just a bit of a psychological thing. They didn't need him. If they needed him to bowl that over, I'm sure they would have gone for him rather than that. I would have trusted him a little bit more with 14 off the over because I think that he could probably do you a job. Whereas when they needed 20, he wasn't needed in that job.
Mm. Yeah, and that's perhaps a good way of managing your main asset in terms of fast bowling to make sure his confidence is intact going to the next game. And let's wait and see if it pays off next game, and if it still comes out firing. And if it does, then we go, oh yeah, great call, Rajasthan, for not bowling him in that last over.
Mm. And then he gets injured in the game after that, and we don't see him again for another year.
Ever the positive, eh?
Just, I've seen it happen so many
Yeah.
times. I can't remember the last time Joffrey got through a whole IPL. Um, just irritating the injuries that he's gone through, because there was a point with Joffrey that where he could have been one of the best bowlers in the world. He could have been talked to. He could have been in that Cummins, Rabada. He's not. He's not going to be as good as Bumrah. He's not that level, but that level just below.
Yeah.
I was there the day that he bowled that spell to Steve Smith at Lords, and I've never
Mm.
seen fast bowling like it.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought someone was going to die. It was that scary.
Yeah, it was theatre, wasn't it? You watch that. It's slightly gloomy skies. The Duke, the dark red Duke, not just a normal Duke, the dark red Duke, and it was flying, absolutely flying out of his hand. That summer of cricket was, unforgettable for so many different events that happened through it. But that Jofra Archer spell was definitely up there in terms of theatre.
Mm. And I'm always proud to say that I booed Steve Smith when he got hit.
Never change.
In terms of predictions for tomorrow's game, Mumbai Indians versus KKR, pretty big game, that one. Um, it's at the Wankhede. Where do we think that one's going to go?
Mumbai, personally, at home, they're almost at full strength. They just need that medium pacer in the lineup to come back. But apart from that, they are getting there. Surya Kumar Yadav needs to have a big game. He's He's the Indian captain. He is their main player because Rohit Sharma isn't doing anything at the top of the order at the moment. So Surya Kumar Yadav needs to come good for them, and I'm expecting him to score big runs tomorrow.
I haven't seen him bat yet. I keep missing it. I
Yeah,
keep not turning on in time, and he's out before I can turn the TV on. I haven't actually seen him bat, so he could be just getting really good balls. No idea. Um, so I'm also going to go with Mumbai. I don't like the KKR team. I like the Mumbai team. Mumbai obviously haven't won a game yet. You'd imagine them being at home is going to be pretty beneficial to them. Just not sold on that KKR team. So I'm going to go Mumbai as well. But we will probably do a video on that tomorrow. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you do want to go check out Sank, all of his links will be down in the description or the show notes. So go check him out. Thank you very much for coming on today. And I will see you guys, I think, tomorrow for a recap of the Mumbai versus KKR game. Tuesday, we've got the County Championship preview coming out. And then I think some more IPL games thrown in there as well. It's a pretty busy week on the podcast. So make sure you are subscribed, following the podcast, follow the social medias, because there'll be updates whenever a new video goes out. But I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow.